Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra Marduke. This is the start of Chapter 5. The one destined to lead. After a short vacation, the physics trainees who had survived met in the training grounds. We were told to go dressed in our civilian attire. The last phase of the mission was supposedly in another town, incognito. The kids were told that they had to blend into the population. Knowing full well that this was not the case, I took care to pack several knives in my boots. I also took with me some surgical string and a sharp needle. These I hid beneath my belt. I also took my old rose fashioned into a cape. After a short speech by Bersamin, we were placed inside a carriage. These carriages had curtains and bars on the inside. The seats were made of plain wood. Every so often the driver would stop and he would throw inside some food. By the 5th day, the driver started feeding us less and less. By the 10th day, I was forced to tap into my hidden rations. On the 15th day, I was allowed to exit the carriage. I saw that only 25 of the trainees were assembled, and there were some familiar faces among them. Once outside, I felt the air extremely cold. It seemed like it might snow at any moment. We were in the dead forest. The large trees were devoid of leaves. The ground was even less inviting. It had not a single sign of vegetation. All around the forest was paved with freshly fallen snow. Slowly, other carriages departed one after another. When only one remained, the driver descended. He had the aspect of a shadow. He was dressed in a black wolf winter coat. While the trainees trembled, he dropped a single knife between them. He said in a rough, angry voice, "You had 3 months to kill each other. If by the time we come back we find that there is more than one person alive, we will kill all of you." After he said this, he departed. It did not even take a minute before the first trainee reached for the knife. Seeing him do so, I kicked him square in the jaw. Taking the knife in my hand, I said, "I will kill the first person that tries to murder his comrade." The boy who was bleeding from my strike asked, "Who died and named you king?" "You did." After saying this, I swiftly stabbed him in the chest. The sudden loss of blood and the shock from the wound made him faint. Seeing my handiness with the knife made all who were not familiar with me tremble. How do you know that he isn't going to kill us?" asked Rolo. "The man did speak the truth." "The truth of the man is not the same as our truth," said I. "A little bird told me all the answers of our final exam. If you obey, we will live." Bowing before me, they all said together, "Your orders, my liege?" "Roy and Rolo, go find some vines or something to fashion into ropes," I said seriously. "Yes, sir," they said, departing. Taking out my string and needle, I said to Ivy, "You tend to the captive. Use some of the snow on the ground to clean his wound." "Aye, aye, Captain," she said, saluting me. "Damon, go gather some firewood and make certain that it is dry, otherwise it will not light the fire," I said to Damon, giving him the knife. "What are your orders, sire?" asked Canon with his usual sinister fashion. "Nothing, just stay where I can see you," I said to Canon, narrowing my eyes. It was nighttime when Roy and Rolo returned with some ropes, the firewood, and the tied up Damon. Rolo was bleeding from a wound in one of his shoulders. Ivy yelled out and said, "You Damon, you traitor!" "Sorry," he giggled back. Roy dropped Damon unceremoniously on the floor while Rolo lighted up the fire. In no time the heat bathed away the cold. Glancing up, I saw the sky was clear. This time there was not a single moon visible in the sky. The only source of light came from the sky, Bell's uneven white light. It did nothing to push back the darkness of the forest. Luckily, it did not seem like it would snow anytime soon. "I still don't see why you get to be the leader," said Damon, sitting up. "It would make more sense if it was Roy, the one who was giving the order." "Funny you would think so too," responded Rolo. He sounded so sure when he stabbed that other kid. "I simply decided to go along with whatever Marduke commanded," commented Roy, glancing over at their wounded captain. "He'll live. I voted his vital. He's sparred out, so he should be fine in about 3 days," I responded, checking up on Ivy's work. Did anyone pack any food? Asked Damon, whose belly was starting to rumble. Sorry, I was forced to consume my emergency rations during the trip, I said, looking at Damon with pity. Ivy's sneezing, she said. I'm cold. She was rubbing her legs and arms. The linen black shirt and pants she wore offered no protection against the elements. The others two were poorly dressed against the climate. Cannon wore a black coat with long-sleeve shirt and overvest and with black pants and a feather hat. Roy and Rollo wore matching green outfits with a top green hat that made them look like leprechauns. As for Damon, he sported a blue aristocratic attire with white high socks to his knees and a blue dress-like vest. The shirt beneath had a lot of frills and laces. Indeed, their attires did not match the terrain. They were dressed for city life in the middle of a winter tundra. Noticing this, I said to Ivy, we should all huddle together to preserve heat. Tomorrow we will drive down the other fools and we will also find some food to eat. Who is going to take night duty? Asked Ivy. Cannon and I will stay awake. We will take turns keeping watch, I responded. After I gave up my orders, the group went to sleep on the cold floor. We took some bark and fallen leaves to create a surface over the snow. The group huddled together for warmth. We placed the wounded youth in the center. He was the one who needed the most heat. While they slept, I huddled next to Cannon for once. I took the first night shift. Around midnight, Cannon awoke. Noticing his punctuality made me remark, Cannon, you are like clockwork. It comes with the training, he responded. It's your turn to sleep. I rather not. I'm too fidgety to fall asleep, I answered. I see, you do not trust me, he said, giving a sly smile. Before the fire, Cannon's clear blue eyes seemed to shine red. And with good reason, I smiled back. After this brief intermission, I fell asleep sitting up. From time to time, I would awaken at the slightest noise. Cannon too noticed my hypersensitivity to noises. After 3 hours of this state of affairs, the time?
Hey, you're good. 7 minutes, don't worry.
After 3 hours of this state of affairs, something made me fall into a deep slumber. It felt like a night sort of sleep, the kind of sleep one feels when hit by a poison dart. I would try to move, but I felt paralyzed. Despite being immobile, I still felt the movements all around me. I felt Cannon's body go limp an hour later. He seemed to have fallen asleep over me. While he slept, I heard him mumble something that sounded like stupid human body. I felt that there was something just beyond the heat of the fire. However, for some reason, it did not approach. Once suppressed in this body, I allowed myself to get a good night's sleep. In the dream, I saw a lovely maiden. Her hair was long and as dark as night. Her eyes were the color of ebony or crimson red. Her lips were red as well. She wore a long nightgown dress with long sleeves. The tail was so long that it seemed to trail behind her. She seemed to be floating. All the while she sang a song in a language that I was not familiar with. While she sang it, she stretched out her arms. It was as if she was calling me, beckoning me, and as I drew nearer, she sang more eagerly. When I got close, I felt icy hands on my face. Her long bony fingers stroked my face gently. And suddenly I saw the look of triumph in her face. In a fury, she embraced my body completely. At the touch of my robes, she recoiled as if she had touched lightning. Giving a slight moan, the creature or ghost departed. The next day I awoke with a start. I felt enough pressure in my chest. Rising up, I noticed Cannon resting and sleeping on top of me. He had a strange pallor and his face seemed ashen. It took a bit of shaking to force him to rise again. The others too noticed the change. They attributed it to the searing cold and the malnutrition they had recently experienced. In the first few hours of the day, I sent the group to find some food. Damon was left behind to play nurse to our wounded captive. The boy I had injured seemed to be suffering from a fever. His wound was healing, but at least his wound was healing rather nicely. As I searched for food in the forest, I was reminded of my first 2 days with my sibling. Finding food had been nearly impossible during the winter months. We took to hunting animals that were hibernating. The hard part was finding them. After much searching, I found something that I could sink my teeth into. Inside a semi-large hole, I saw something that looked like a giant fur ball with round ears. As I got closer, I saw the remnants of a fireplace. Within the cave, I saw a boy sleeping peacefully. When I flipped him over, I saw that he was one of the other trainees. he had found and fought a bear. He had 10 bear scratches on his face. What most alarming was that he was still sleeping. Had he been in his full capacity, he would have struck me down the minute that I entered the cave. Heck, he would have noticed my approach from a mile away. The snow did nothing to mask my movements. His apparent stupor was not a promising sign. Feeling his neck, I placed my hand on his neck to feel a pulse. It was slow, but regular. Taking him by the shoulders, I tried to force him to awaken. When his eyes opened, he seemed a bit disoriented. All he said before falling unconscious again was, "Mommy, is that you?" Feeling sorry for him, I carried him back to camp. When I returned, I saw Kano carrying other trainees in the same condition as the bear kid. Like him, they wore the skins of animals to ward off the cold. One wore the skin of the wolf, while the other sported the skin of the lamb. Where he found a lamb in the middle of this forest, I will never know. Minutes later, Roy and Rollo arrived. Rollo struggled beneath the weight of a moose. As for Rollo, he was carrying four other kids over his broad shoulders. A second later, Abby carried the other girl from the group of students that were taken to this hellhole. Seeing our similar finds made her exclaim, "What the hell is going on here?" "Honestly, I don't know," responded Cannon. "He seemed more spooked than the rest. He kept doing the most unnatural twitches. He had the look of a deer that had just been struck by an arrow. He kept making odd noises with his nose as if he was sniffing the air. From time to time, his ears would move. Thankfully, only I noticed his inhumane behavior. He got even paler when he noticed that I was watching him. His eyes widened so much that they almost seemed to fall out of his eye sockets. He went from making a lot of odd gestures to standing perfectly still. His stillness made him even more unnatural. I walked over to him and I whispered in his ear, "Your secret is safe with me." Hearing me say this made the rest of the color of his face fade. His eyes rolled back and I felt his body go limp between my arms. The others too noticed that Kano had fainted. Worried, they came up to look upon him. Taking Kano in his arms, Ivy asked me, what is wrong with him?" Putting my hand on her shoulder, I responded, "He has been afflicted by the same malady as the other. It was only his pride that kept him from fainting."
I thought his secret was safe with him. He instantly ratted him out.
That's not his secret.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Why would you keep a secret? It doesn't help well for you to keep a secret that you're sick in like a dangerous situation. You don't hide your illness when everyone's like dying.
I was like,
you
wow.
say, "I heard, I need help, so I'm not a liability unto others."
I was like, wow, he instantly ratted him out. Okay.
You don't mask the sickness. Alright, the time is the thing?
Wait, 1 minute, 30 seconds.
What caused this illness? Could we be affected as well? Added Rollo. Damon walked toward me and he put his hand to my forehead. "Are you okay?" Pushing his hand back, I responded, "I'm fine." "I'm scared. Is this part of the exam?" asked Roy. I had my doubts, I reminded, while I helped Ivy build up the fire. After this brief interchange, we busied ourselves with those who were injured.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Meanwhile, the twins cooked the meat. Ivy checked each of the afflicted from head to toe. They did not show any signs of injury outside the usual. Some did have scratches or wolf bites. These ones had already been treated. After we ate, we tried to get the afflicted to have a bite to eat, and after much shaking and yelling, the discipline made them take some meat into them. This seemed to rouse them a bit from their stupor. Some were even able to stay awake for more than half an hour. Overall, they seemed very, very tired. To make matters worse, whatever conversation we had with them did not make any sense. Alright, let's start